Imagine walking into a village where every clock is stuck at 4:17 p. The calendars all show the same date, October 12th, 1972. On the tables, there's food that never rots. On the streets, there are cars with keys still in the ignition. In one house, a phone is off the hook, as if someone answered it and never spoke again. The strangest part? No one lives here. No one ever leaves. And no one can explain what happened to the village that's been frozen in time. They don't put this village on modern maps. Officially, it doesn't exist, but if you drive far enough into the countryside, past the last gas station, past the last cell signal, you might find a small, cracked road with no sign leading into the trees. For decades, locals have whispered about it, a place where time stopped in 1972, where a whole village simply froze. Most people treat it like a ghost story. But one man, a documentary filmmaker named Daniel, didn't. He wanted proof, and he was willing to go alone. Daniel had heard the rumors all his life. No birds, no animals, no wireless signal, and no explanation. Armed with cameras, a drone, and extra batteries, he followed an old hand-drawn map from a retired postman who swore he used to deliver mail there before the village was closed. As he drove deeper into the forest, the GPS stopped working. The compass app on his phone spun in circles. Then the trees suddenly opened up, and he saw it. Small houses with peeling pastel paint, a stone church with a crooked cross, old gas pumps with analog dials. Everything looked like a movie set from the early 70s, beautiful and wrong. He checked his watch, 4:16 p.m. He didn't know yet that this number mattered. He parked the car at the entrance. There were no fences, no warning signs. Just a silence so heavy that even his footsteps felt too loud. The first thing Daniel noticed was the air. It felt thick, not cold, not hot. Just heavy, like walking through invisible cobwebs. He passed a small bakery. The window displays had loaves of bread inside, perfectly shaped, golden brown, but coated in a thin layer of dust. He tried the door. It opened easily. Inside, everything was exactly as if someone had just stepped out for a moment. A cup of coffee half full on the counter. A newspaper on a chair, dated October 12th, 1972. He touched the coffee cup. The liquid inside didn't move. No ripple, no slosh. As if it was encased in invisible glass. His camera recorded everything. When he stepped back outside, a small clock hanging above the door caught his eye. The hands were stuck at 4:17 p.m., The second hand hovered between ticks, frozen mid-movement. He kept walking, on every shop front, every home. Every clock showed the exact same time, 4:17 p.m., the moment the village stopped. In the barber shop, a pair of scissors hung in the air over a chair just barely touching a lock of hair as if the barber had been about to make a cut. In the school, tiny wooden desks were arranged in neat rows. On the blackboard, a sentence written in chalk. Time always moves forward, but the chalk in the teacher's hand had broken mid-word, a small piece hanging in the air against the board without falling. Daniel reached out to touch it. His finger stopped about a centimeter away. There was something there smooth and visible like a barrier. He pulled his hand back, heart pounding. He checked his watch again. It now said 4:17 p.m., just like the clocks. It had been 20 minutes since he arrived, but his watch hadn't moved at all. His phone wouldn't turn on. His camera kept recording, but the battery percentage hadn't dropped. Inside the frozen village, his devices were trapped in the same moment as everything else. At the center of the village stood a small stone church. Its wooden doors were slightly open, as if inviting him in. Daniel hesitated. Every instinct told him to leave, but the documentary needed a conclusion. He pushed the door. Inside, rows of empty benches. Candles half burned, their flames frozen mid-flicker. On the altar, an old reel-to-reel tape recorder and a small microphone. The tape was threaded, ready to play, but never started. Next to it, a handwritten note, "If anyone finds this, press play." His hands shook as he reached out, but to his surprise, he could touch the tape recorder. Not frozen, not blocked. The barrier wasn't here. He pressed the button. The reels began to turn slowly, then at normal speed. A man's voice, trembling, echoed through the church. "If you're hearing this, we didn't escape." The voice belonged to the village priest. He explained that for weeks before October 12th, strange things had started happening. Clocks ran too fast, then too slow. Shadows moved in directions they shouldn't. People would hear footsteps behind them, but when they turned around, they saw themselves a split second delayed, like their own bodies were frames in a film slipping out of sync. On the morning of the 12th, they gathered in the church to pray. At exactly 4:17 p.m., the bell started ringing. All by itself. The air turned thick and heavy, just like Daniel felt now. The priest said he saw something impossible. The sunlight outside the window stopped moving. Dust in the air hung still, voices cut off mid-word. He described people frozen mid-step, mid-breath, mid-laugh. The village had become a photograph. The priest felt himself being pulled into that frozen moment, his hands, his legs, his voice slowing down, but somehow he broke free long enough to reach the tape recorder. "Time has chosen us," he said on the recording, his voice slowing, stretching. "We are stuck so that something else can move." And then very faintly, "If you're from after this moment, don't stay, it wants more," the tape hissed, then stopped. The reels froze. At that exact second, the bells above the church tower rang one single, deafening strike. Daniel jumped. His heart felt like it skipped a beat. He ran out of the church, adrenaline pounding through his veins. But when he stepped back onto the street, something was wrong. The cars were in different positions. The door of the bakery was now closed. The newspaper on the chair showed the same date, but a different headline. It was as if the village had reset to a slightly altered version of itself. He checked his watch. No time, no hands, just a blank, reflective face. In the reflection, he saw the village behind him, and standing in the middle of the street, facing his back, was a figure. Still, perfectly still, shaped like a person. But with no details, no face, no clothes. Just a silhouette cut out of the air. He spun around, no one was there. But the silhouette in his watch reflection was now closer. The air grew heavier, each breath harder than the last. It wasn't just that the village was frozen, it was waiting for something from outside of 1972 to get caught in its trap. Something like a filmmaker with a camera and too many questions. Daniel's footage was found weeks later in an abandoned car on a lonely forest road. No one knows how it got there. No one knows where he went. But on the last frame of his video, you can see a street clock in the village slowly twitch. From 4:17 p.m. to 4:18, just 1 minute. After 53 years, as if time had finally begun to move again because it had someone new to keep. If you found a road that led to this village, would you turn back or would you keep driving? Tell me in the comments, turn back or keep going? And if you want more stories about places the world pretends don't exist, make sure to subscribe before time runs out for you too.